Today for review I have the Olight M3Xs-UT Javelot. This is truly a handheld spotlight that goes to an incredible distance. I'm rolling in footage here of taking it out to a park, and this picture is the beam shooting over 860 meters on turbo mode. Just crazy impressive. Olight claims a 1,000-meter distance, and after testing I don't have my doubts. I think it might even go further than that if you had the right setup with low ambient light. This is not a small light, and I'll get more to that later, but just so we're size comparison here, here's an Olight S30R for comparison here. As you can see, it's a big light, and it should be. This uses two 18650s, and this is using the extension tube. This light uses a de-domed Cree XPL LED, and it's a little hard to see, but as you can see in there, it has no dome. This is the first de-domed light I own. De-doming is common on throwers. It helps with the distance. However, it can harm the LED module when it's in its color rendering. And I would say here that it has affected it by turning the light slightly green. Inside you notice it a little bit, but outside you really don't notice it, and I really don't mind it. Outside is the primary use for this light. Overall, I thought heat was pretty well managed on this light. On my test rig, after 10 minutes, the front bezel area here had reached 99 degrees, which was only warmed with a touch. It warmed up the rest of the flashlight body too. I did test the lens, put right on the lens, and it got to about 130 degrees. Here's a chart showing the modes and run times of this flashlight. I did like in the manual that it had a nice graph, and I'll go over more of that here in a minute. I've read online and tried the step down in this light, and it does seem to be timed to 5 minutes instead of using a thermal sensor to determine when the step down happens. It's easy to override by just turning the light on and off again. And I'd like to see Olight run a thermal sensor instead of the timed step down, since you don't know what environment you're going to be in. That thermal sensor is just the better way. What makes this light throw so well is the combination of the de-domed LED and this reflector. It really focuses in the light really well. The 1200 lumens that this light is rated for isn't crazy by any means by modern flashlight standards. But it's the combination of the de-domed LED and this reflector design, the larger head, that really make it throw. When I compared it with my recent review of the Nikkor TM06S at 4000 lumens, that 4000 lumens is quite a bit brighter in perceivable difference, but it's also 4 times the amount of light. This light can run 2 different types of batteries. It can run CR123s, either 3 or 4, depending on if you have the extension tube on, or 2 18650s. And that's how I have it running right now, is 2 18650s. Olight intended this light, I feel like, to run on the CR123s, and the 18650s is an afterthought, and I'll explain why. By default, it ships in this configuration. This is the configuration it ships in, and the ergonomics of the light are pretty good. It copies kind of some of the others on the market. You've got your mode button up front here, and then your tail switch here, and you can pretty easily cigar grip it like this. However, doing this, you've got to use the CR123s, which just isn't a modern battery. It's a very popular battery for situations where you can't recharge, but they're expensive and they don't have the runtime of an 18650. I hardly ever use them because of that expense reason. Anywhere where I can run an 18650, I do. To use the 18650 in this light, you have to convert it back to use this included extension tube. And to do that, you've got to take off this grip and ring. And this is where you put the attached lanyard if you're going to run one. When you extend the light out and take this lanyard off, it makes the light a little bit it's less ergonomic friendly. You can put the extension on. You can put the extension on and run the light like this, but I just don't think it's as comfortable. It ends up kind of hitting me in the hand and part sticks out. So I'll be running it with the extension tube on, and while I've got it apart, let me show you the tail cap here. You Instead of a spring, you've got this contact, and the head is similar. The head does have a spring and the circuit board. The threads are different and not reversible. Up front, you've got some coarser threads, and out the back, on both the extension and knot, you've got square cut threads. So here it is back in the 18650 configuration with the two 18650 batteries in series. I do wish you could run a lanyard with this light in the 18650 configuration, and you can, but for me it's uncomfortable to do so, so I won't do that. One thing to note, you do need to use button top 18650s in this light if you're going to run them. They, if you don't, the batteries do rattle around a little bit, and could potentially lose contact if the light went through something traumatic. A note about running batteries in series: there's a few things to keep in mind. First, use the same brand of cells. I'm using Olight in here, but any high quality brand will work in this flashlight. And you want the cells to be of similar performance and charge level. You really don't want one to be fully charged and one to be half charged or something like that. It can be very dangerous and can cause explosions in rare circumstances. Another thing to note is this mode button up front here does work as a low voltage indicator. When the cells inside drop below 7 volts, it will flash red. So to get Moonlight on this light, you have to hold the mode button and then turn it on. And even on the table shots here, you really can't see, but if I hold it up, it is on. To bump up to low, you press the button, and you really can't see the hot center in low mode. But bumping up, you start to see it. And again, this is the full 1200 lumens. Doesn't look that bright, but boy, when you get it out at a distance, it really is. So there's the hot center with the low amount of flood. Tonight I've come out to a local lake at a park, and I'm going to show distance of this Olight. So here it is on high, and this berm in front of me is probably about 150 meters. You can see it lights it up super well. This is on full power. If I come down to low, you can still see the berm pretty well. There's medium, and there is high. This being a thrower, Olight does say this is good for 1,000 meters. Behind this little outing is a dam, and according to Google Maps, it's 680 meters from where I'm standing. And I don't know if the camera's really picking this up or not. It's kind of hard to tell from this angle. You can maybe see it a little better over here. But it is lighting up that berm, that dam, I'm sorry. And it's a good 860-70 meters away from where I'm standing. I think that's pretty damn impressive. Unfortunately, I can't back up any further because I've got a baseball field to my right where the lights are on, so it'd totally ruin the shot. But as you can see in the dust here, you can see the bugs just love this thing. It is early springtime here, and am near water. Here we can see some ducks out here, maybe. I can with my naked eye. You can see them floating on the water. If I come a little closer, you can easily see in the water. You can see it's a really tight beam. But the claims of 1,000 meters, I don't know if it's going to light up anything well enough to distinguish it from what it is, but you can definitely tell there's land there at 875 meters. So the claims of 1,000 meters, I'm going to say aren't that far-fetched. So I'm going to come out and get a few more night shots just to kind of show you the distance here. It's hard enough to find land that you can show 1,000 meters and get it to show up on camera. But let me give it a try. Here is low mode, and even on low here, I am reaching the top of the house that my eye can see. Bumping up, real easy, and bumping up again, real easy. And I'm going to guess 500-600 yards away, easy, and just no contest. I can point over here, there's some playground equipment and stuff. We've got the whole thing lit up, so just super bright, and throws basically as far as you can comfortably see easily. It's more flashlight than you really need, but it's really fun. The interface on this light is really simple. As you saw before, you turn it on at the back, tail switch. You can run as kind of a momentary if you want to, or you press all the way into lock. And then your mode button is up front. You've got low, medium, high, and you press for turbo. If the light is off, you can press the button and get your Moonlight mode. The light does have memory for the 3 main modes, excluding strobe and night mode. High and strobe have shortcuts that you can get to with 2 or 3 quick presses of the power button. And then in doing a full press of the power button will lock this in. However, this disables the mode button for some reason. I'm not sure why and wish Olight would change this. To remedy that, you've got to hit the power button on, cycle it on and off, and then the light works as normal. These shortcuts make using the light difficult. Any attempting to use Morse code will activate the strobe. There is no lockout on this light. The best thing to do would be to unscrew the tail cap just a little bit, but then you also lose some waterproofing. The light is IPX8 water resistant. One criticism with this light, and it's minor, is you really have, if you unscrew the head from the body here, you've really got to screw this on tight to get it to line up with the button. At first I thought this was a problem because I wasn't screwing it hard enough, but I finally just kind of cranked on it and got it to line up, and everything seems fine. So that's one thing to note, just in case you run into it. Another criticism I have of this light is without the tactical ring on it. I've heard this called many things, but without that on it, this light rolls really easily. On my table here, which previous to this I thought was pretty flat, I'm looking like it's not very flat anymore. I'm using a lens cap here for my camera to help hold the light stable. I was pleasantly surprised at how little and light this light weighs for how large it is. This is a really small diameter. It's just over the size of an 18650, and with this large head on here, it looks kind of silly, but works pretty well. I think it's a psychology thing to see you expect this light to weigh more just due to the size of its head. The body here is really smooth anodizing, and I'll just get some close-up shots here. It's really nice cut, it's really nicely anodized, and really any fingerprints or anything you see on this light is the result of me handling it, fondling it, and testing it. So here's the weight of the light, and this is with two 18650s and no lanyard with the extension installed, so 12.95 ounces. That's really not bad at all. Here is the plastic case that the flashlight came in. It's a nicer plastic case. You've got latches here, and it's not super heavy plastic, but it's a nice touch for a flashlight. It's a little bit smaller than a Glock box if you're familiar with those. The latches are nice and strong, and inside you get a whole bunch of things. This is a nice, this foam has even been coated with like a velvet almost. So here is the holster, which I'll get to in a minute. You get a product sheet, you get a manual, and the manual here is nice. It doesn't go over everything, but it gives you the basics. One of the things I really liked, and I hope Olight and other manufacturers do, is you've got a mode map. It's a diagram that you can follow to get whatever option you want. I really like that. It simplifies all the modes that modern flashlights can do. You've also got an output runtime graph. However, Olight just did CR123 batteries here. They didn't use any 18650s. And then you've got a chart showing the voltages and all the specs of the light. And on the back, you've got all the different configurations you can do. So inside the box, it came with spare O-rings, which is always nice. Then it came with this, which is a CR123 spacer. So those CR123s, if you choose to use them, don't rattle. Nice feature that not all lights include. Here's the included holster. And let me put the light in. It snaps in place instead of Velcro. And even with the extension on it, sticks out a decent amount. It's a nice quality holster. It's a bit stiff. You've got a plastic D-ring and then Velcro for your belt loop. If you were going to use this light a lot, this holster would become pretty valuable just due to its size and kind of odd nature to carry in a pocket or bag or something like that. I definitely recommend using the holster for that. This flashlight's use philosophy isn't like a normal flashlight. While it's a great flashlight, it probably shouldn't be your only flashlight. At short distances, even on low, it's too focused to be practical in my opinion. It's a bit too bright. It's not the light you want to use to see what's under the couch or repair your car with. That said, it's great for hunters, farmers, ranchers, and other large property owners, and emergency personnel, and really flashlights enthusiasts to impress your friends and neighbors. It will truly knock their socks off. During testing of this light, I had walkers that passed me at the park and at the school, as you saw. And both times I had to stop filming because they asked what the heck I had. And I kind of enjoy telling people about flashlights and kind of amazed. Because most people are used to alkaline-powered mag lights that just aren't anything whoopee. Throwers like this tend to be expensive, and this Olight is no different. Given the level of performance here and the high-quality machining, the Olight M3Xs-UT puts on a good showing for its price point when compared to other commercial throwers from brands that you may know that are maybe more associated with law enforcement. We'll just leave it that way. About $150 as of the time of this video. It's definitely expensive, but it's not crazy. This flashlight isn't without a few issues in its ergonomics when using the 18650 batteries, which I feel like could be an easy improvement in future generations. However, with all that taken into consideration, I think the amazing long-distance performance and build quality outweigh the ergonomic issues. It's a light I would easily recommend to friends or family members if they were in need of something with an amazing throwing distance and top quality machining and construction.